Alright, let's go ahead and talk about Umi, and the first thing that I want to mention is that she was tested on the test server, which has a lot of input lag. On top of that, we use an average physical main player stats, so you might be able to get better results than we did. But I want to give a special thanks to Kawasa. You can check him out over on Twitch at Kawasa Gaming, who does FC, Raid, and even VA carries, as long as you're on Solaris. And Kazzer, my Claudia Matrices expert. These two were essential in helping me get the damage calculations for this character. And I want to give a special thanks to Ridley, greatest Discord moderator, who helps keep me on track. So now let's talk about Umi's main mechanics that you need to know. So Umi is a simple weapon to play with. The two main defining mechanics for her include her preheat and her card selection during her magic show. One important thing to note is at the start of combat, you gain a full preheat bar, but afterwards you have to build it up through attacks, which can usually take around 16 to 18 seconds to do. Preheat is a #1 mechanic that defines how much DPS you can do with Umi, since almost all physical comps DPS will be from using Umi's skill. During Umi's magic show, by default, you start on spades cards. You only need to use Umi's skill button during magic show if you wish to switch her cards from spades to heart and heart to spade. Every couple of seconds, a card will automatically be loaded, and once a pair of cards is created, Umi will create an additional effect depending on what card is in that pair. So now let's talk about her playstyle. So Umi is a hyper carry who relies on her other two weapons to build preheat and buff her, so that way she can do massive damage for 18 seconds once her skill is active. For anyone who does not enjoy quick swapping to characters, Umi is a pretty good character to go for. So now let's talk about Umi's Ascensions. One thing I want to note is that Umi is in the warehouse on live servers, and one thing that they did change, which I think is a great move, is that they changed her 5-star advancement to her 1-star advancement. So on the test server, it was similar to CN with a few values changed. So in the DPS calculations, the 5-star will be where the 1-star is, and the 1-star will be where the 5-star is. So Umi's 1-star is her most important advancement, as preheat charge is Umi's main limiting factor in how much DPS she can do. Umi's 3-star gives some extra DPS and a physical damage buff, along with the potential of a quick swap gameplay style. 5-star gives a physical damage buff during magic show and some HP recovery, and 6-star is the least important advancement, as most of your DPS with Umi is not through her normal and dodge attacks. Her trait is not the greatest. It's basically Alice's trait, except it has a condition. So I would say if you have Alice's trait, just use that one. If not, then you can get Umi's. Alright, now let's get to the fun part, the DPS calculations, and this is what we're working with. 11k crit and over 21,000 physical attack to simulate someone who is maining the physical element. So the O comp consisted of Lyn, Lyra, and Claudia, with Lyn using a 3-star 4-piece Lyn, Lyra using a 3-star 4-piece Lyra, and Claudia using a 3-star 4-piece Claudia. And the max damage they were able to get in 1 minute and 40 seconds is 120 million. Now for the Umi comp, which consisted of Lyn, Umi, and Claudia, but you could also use Lyra instead of Claudia for more survivability, but less DPS. So Lyn used a 3-star 4-piece Lyn, Umi used a 3-star 4-piece Lyra, and Lyra and Claudia used no matrices, as well as a 0-star 4-piece Umi matrices all the way up to her 3-star matrices, as well as using a 3-star 2-piece Shiro and a 3-star 2-piece Samir. So here are the results of the Umi comp in 1 minute and 40 seconds. 0-star Umi using Lyra with no matrices was able to reach 29 million. Using Umi's 0-star 4-piece matrices, they reached 35 million. And using DPS matrices, they reached 34 million. 0-star Umi with Claudia using no matrices reached 35 million. Using her 0-star 4-piece matrices, 41 million, and using DPS matrices, 40 million. 5-star Umi using Lyra with no matrices was able to reach 32 million. Using her 0-star 4-piece matrices, 38 million, and using DPS matrices, 37 million. 5-star Umi with Claudia using no matrices was able to reach 37 million. Using her 0-star 4-piece matrices, 44 million, and using DPS matrices, 43 million. 3-star Umi using Lyra with no matrices was able to reach 33 million. Using her 0-star 4-piece matrices, 39 million, and using DPS matrices, 38 million. 3-star Umi using Claudia using no matrices was able to reach 38 million. Using her 0-star 4-piece matrices, 45 million, and with DPS matrices, 44 million. 1-star Umi using Lyra using no matrices was able to reach 45 million. Using her 0-star 4-piece matrices, 59 million, and using DPS matrices, 52 million. 1-star Umi using Claudia, using no matrices, was able to reach 50 million. Using her 0-star 4-piece matrices, 65 million. And using DPS matrices, 58 million. 6-star Umi using Lyra was able to reach 56 million. Using her 0-star 4-piece matrices, 70 million. And using DPS matrices, 63 million. And using her 3-star 4-piece matrices, 77 million. 6-star Umi using Claudia was able to reach 66 million. Using her 0-star 4-piece matrices, 80 million. And using DPS matrices, 73 million. And using her 3-star 4-piece matrices, 87 million. And here's what Umi was able to do using live stat values. 6-star Umi using Lyra was able to reach 107 million. 6-star Umi using Claudia was able to reach 117 million. But the old comp using the same values was able to reach 120 million. And here is the 30-second rotation. Alright, now let's discuss some free-to-play / low spender teams, and this is using the average player's stats as well as max stars and matrices since we can't lower down star levels. For testing we used Lin, Umi, and Shiro, since on the live server the 5-star Ascension is switched to the 1-star Ascension. But other good team combinations would be at least a 1-star Umi, a 0-star or higher Lyra, and Shiro. Or you could do a 1-star Umi, a high-star Claudia, and Shiro. So here are the calculations for the Lin team. Lin used a 3-star 4-piece Shiro, Umi used a 3-star 2-piece Shiro, 3-star 2-piece Samir, and Shiro used a 3-star 2-piece Shiro, 3-star 2-piece King. And the max damage that they were able to do in 1 minute and 40 seconds, 55 million. And here is the 30-second rotation. And now for the disclaimer / notice sections. And the first thing that I want to mention is the testing environment, to where you might be able to pull out better numbers than we did because there's a lot of input lag. For example, Kazzer is able to pull out 140 million on the live server using his Lyra comp, whereas on the test server, he's only able to pull out 120 million. Also, we use Shiro and Samir for DPS matrices, but Crow is better than Shiro as long as you have over a 70% crit rate, but you can't use it on the Cactus. So you should be able to get better numbers than we got. Number 2, swapped Ascensions. They swapped her 5-star to her 1-star. That's why you see in the DPS calculation section, 1-star is 5-star and 5-star is 1-star. What this essentially allows is low spenders to essentially get Umi's full power at 1-star. So where if you have a 0-star Lyra or a high-star Claudia combined with Lin, it ends up being a pretty strong team. Number 3, her matrices. Now her matrices are good if you are getting Umi, but if you don't plan on getting Umi, I don't recommend pulling her matrices because they seem to just be a little bit better than Lin. Also, 2-piece Lyra is one of the strongest DPS matrices. And number 4, Wells may want to skip. Umi looks like she's more of a side grade to the current physical comp. You still can't get rid of Lin because you need Lin in any of the Umi teams that you decide to go with, whether that is Umi Claudia Lin or Umi Lyra Lin, with Claudia having higher DPS but less survivability. So if you already have a highly invested Lyra Claudia Lin comp, I don't recommend Umi unless she gets some pretty big buffs once she hits the live servers, which is unlikely since she's already in the warehouse. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and consider subscribing. I do daily videos on Tower of Fantasy to help prevent you from making mistakes in the game. But other than that, talk with you guys later.